this video, I'm going to be showing you guys all the production secrets behind Travis Scott's debut album, Rodeo. I'm going to be making 3 different beats inspired by 3 different songs on the project, so let's get into it. The intro track, produced by Mike Dean, Metro and Sunny Digital, has a dark, intoxicating beat that combines rock influences with the classic Atlanta trap sound.
I'm way too antsy, 'cause my ambition's too frantic.
The main element of this beat is an eerie, repetitive electric guitar played by Mike Dean. Now that sounds very dry, so the effects are where we can get that real rodeo sound. First, I use one of Mike Dean's secret tricks, which is to add auto-tune to a guitar. After that, we have an amplitude, a reels and a sketch cassette, adding some detuning and some saturation. We also have an EQ cutting out some of the high end. Next, we have a delay, which is very important in achieving that woozy Travis Scott sound. We also have a radiator and an isotope trash for some more distortion, and a halftime with some automation to again add to that psychedelic sound that we're going for. Now the synth basses and 808s are a huge part of Rodeo's sound. On the intro track, Metro used a Spins 808, so we did the same. As you saw, I left some space at the end of the loop, which we're going to fill with a classic Mike Dean style synth bass. This sound is from Minor September's new Analog Lab bank, which is out right now. We made this bank to have the perfect combination of dark and ambient sound, so you can use it no matter what style of production you're making. Hit the link in the description if you want to go get that. To finish off this track, Mike Dean added some textural elements as ear candy. So I added 2 textural synths from the Technicolor bank. The first is a very gritty sound that fills up some of the mid-range frequencies. The second is a more ambient texture. The only thing missing from this beat is some classic Metro style drums. After that, we have a hi-hat. Some of the notes are manually shifted off grid to give a bit more bounce. And finally, we have a classic rack style kick. At some points in the song, the guitar is taken out to give more room for Travis, so I created a section like this in our beat with a different bass line and one more synth texture just to finish things off. On every Travis album, Mike Dean adds some amazing synth sections to close out songs. An example of that on Rodeo is Nightcrawler. To create our own outro section, I added this pad from Technicolor. The chord progression is quite long, it goes down the scale and then back up again, giving a really suspenseful feeling. Next, of course, is a synth bass. I chose this Caged Beast preset because it has a really aggressive sound. After that, we have a synth brass which follows the top notes of the chords. What makes Rodeo sound so unique is the way Travis mixes dark and ambient sounds together. A song like I Can Tell has a soft synth bell throughout it, which would sound perfect on our beat. Now going back to the outro on Nightcrawler, there's a bright synth arc which fills a lot of frequencies. This is a great way to finish off songs because there's no vocals, so you don't need to leave room for the artist. Pan that to the right so I could fit one more element in, which is a plucky synth sound. This has a super heavy delay on it to help it sit in the mix. now I want to make something a bit more moody, a bit more ambient, something inspired by the song Impossible on Rodeo. The main element of this track is a super detuned atmospheric pad, so I use this sound from Technicolor and put down this progression. This is the typical Travis Scott chord progression. It's the 5th and 6th chord in any minor scale, so if you want to quickly start off a Travis Scott beat, this is a great progression to know. Alongside that pad and Impossible, there's a really ambient bell type of sound, so I've added this from Technicolor. One of my favorite sounds on the track is a plucky synth bass. For RB, I did a super simple pattern, but I added a delay to it to give it a bit more bounce. After that, I added a hi-hat following the bass pattern. Part of Rodeo's signature sound is the way Travis mixes modern day trap drums with old school boom bap style drums. So for the kick, I layered a hard trap sound with a lighter top layer, leaving us with this. Now, lots of the beats throughout the album contain melodic percussive toms. On Impossible, for example, at certain points they use a tom as a snare, so I did the same on RB using 2 toms to create a drum groove. And to finish off this section, there's a boom bap snare and open hat. Now, one of my favorite songs on the project is Oh My This Side.
Let me tell you a little story about this side. You really can't make it on this side.
The second half has a super melodic ambient beat, which I wanted to take inspiration from for RB. So I used the same chords, but switched the sound to a soft sine pad from Technicolor. I also added a stabby piano on top, which is inspired by tracks like 90210 and Apple Pie. Second to last, we have an arpeggiated piano to add some high-end texture to the beat. Finally, to add some transitions, I laid down a synth lead in between the 2 sections and also a drum fill, leaving us with this final beat.